to my channel. My name is Samantha and thank you for joining me today. So today's video is going to be on regression and what regression is, and for individuals that struggle with regression. So in a nutshell, regression is caused by trauma. It is basically an individual going back to a previous underdeveloped state or childlike state. Now, this is very common in people that struggle with substance abuse, such as drugs or alcohol, and is also widely spread with individuals that struggle with anger as well. So, basically, when an adult regresses or goes back to a childlike state quite frequently, what they're doing is they're basically running back to a time and a place that was innocent and pure. Now, children have the natural ability to kind of grow into their own self and their own mold. So what happens is that when the child presented his or herself, they were basically told at a young age, in some form or another, that they were not worthy, they were not welcomed they didn't have a voice, autonomy was not welcomed, and the only way to receive love is through victimization, or to be the victim. Now, victimhood is basically not having any power. You don't have a say in anything. You don't have the ability to use your voice or basically create change for yourself that is in a positive way. So what happens is that this person grows up, and they every time they are quote unquote triggered, they go back to this state because they are trying to make their voice heard, feel worthy, welcomed, and basically get a form of love. So sometimes when people find themselves, when they get angry, they go off into like a regressive state or childlike state where they throw tantrums or not act quote unquote mature. It's because they're actually trying to meet a need that was not met. So what happens is that these adults grow up and there is a bigger need than the regression. This is oftentimes why drugs and alcohol kind of, in my opinion, the way that I look at a person that struggles with drugs or alcohol, is they're kind of the quote-unquote parent. So basically this substance, it doesn't have to be a substance, it can basically be anything that any kind of coping mechanism, and what it's doing is it's basically protecting you, or there's a form of nurturance that involves with this particular substance or coping mechanism. So the real need of people that regress is actually nurturance and protection. Now, the adult might grow up and they might look for a parental figure, or basically people to quote unquote mother or father them, and they will be greatly disappointed because what they are looking for is basically that voice of their own to be nurtured and to be able to protect themselves. So they were taught, I can't meet my own needs, I can't have a voice, so I want someone else to do it for me. So this is a natural cry for help to basically, when a person goes back into regression, it's basically saying, I need help and I need you to validate me. So oftentimes when a person is not validated, is not understood, doesn't have any way of receiving love or nurturance or protection, it will grasp at any form of substance or coping mechanism that he or she possibly can. So the real need of regression and the underlying issue of regression is victimization or powerlessness, not having a voice. So basically this is where free will comes into play. Choice comes into play. This is where you have the ability to create that nurturance and that protection or that protector within yourself. So it's very helpful to start out by at least creating a list things that you do and you don't stand for, or things that you do and you don't like. And oftentimes, protection can be a form of boundaries, like being able to say yes confidently, being able to say no confidently. Things like learning how to nurture yourself. People that don't know how to nurture themselves, they typically have a, see, nurturance isn't really taught. Nurturance is more of, I'm creating a space for my needs, or I'm creating a space for myself to be myself. This is why people that have a really nurturing vibe about them, people feel safe around them, because they are creating the space for other people to be themselves. And when people are able to be themselves, they're much more loving and much more peaceful people, and they are much more trusting of themselves. So, regression, in my opinion, is running back to childhood or childhood innocence. And this is a place for them where they feel that they want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be loved. And to do this, they go back into a regressed state. So if you guys have a question, feel free to email me, and I will leave the email in the description box below. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on my next video, guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye.